For some time now, the best-selling car in America hasn't been a car, it's been the Ford F-150 pickup truck, which has evolved through the decades to become a one-size-fits-all machine. It hauls cargo, tows trailers, conquers rough terrain, and its modern incarnations are luxurious interstate cruisers with plenty of space for 5 adults. But it sure didn't start that way. The popularity of the Ford F-Series pickup is no fluke. Born more than a century ago, it earned its place in the American landscape by delivering rugged value and consistent innovation. Early on, it was its available flathead V8. Next was the twin I-beam front suspension, and more recently, the truck has adopted industry-first aluminum bodywork and embraced smaller, turbocharged engines. From the first Model TT chassis cab, which debuted in 1917, to today's leather-lined 4-door luxury haulers, this is a brief history of the long-lived Ford F-Series. 9 years after the first Model T saw Ford customers asking for a vehicle that could haul heavier loads and provide greater utility for work and deliveries. On July 27, 1917, Ford responded with the Model TT, which retained the Model T cab and engine. The Model TT came with a heavy-duty frame capable of carrying 1 ton of payload. The factory price was $600. 209 were sold that year. Similar to the Fordson tractor introduced in 1917, Henry Ford envisioned a chassis that could accommodate third-party beds, cargo areas, and other add-ons to deliver the increased functionality needed to get work done. It was a formula for success. During World War I, the Model TT was standardized in the light class. Although Ford was a pacifist, he was happy to supply the U.S. Army with more than 12,000 of these vehicles. The Model TT was widely used by the U.S. and British armies during World War I as a staff car, ambulance, van, and cargo truck, even as an artillery tractor, for which application the truck was fitted with twinned rear tires. By 1928, Ford had sold 1.3 million Model TTs before replacing the truck with the more capable Model AA with a 1.5-ton chassis. Henry Ford marketed his early trucks heavily in rural areas. Model AA trucks in particular had a certain class to them, he said. Customers could use them on the farm, yet still take them to church on Sunday. 2 years later, Ford introduced the 1935 Model 50 pickup, powered exclusively by its famous Ford flathead V8 engine. These pickups rolled out with all-steel cabs boasting curved roof lines and sloped windshields. A graceful heart-shaped styled grille and radiator surround led the way. By 1941, Ford had sold more than 4 million trucks. Changing over to war production resulted in the loss of consumer sales, but a gain in experience building heavy-duty military truck chassis and four-wheel drive personnel carriers. A year after consumer production resumed in 1947, Ford leveraged that knowledge to provide even more innovations for its customers. After the war, a lot of rural Americans moved to urban and suburban centers looking for work, and many took their Ford pickups with them. Ford saw this as an opportunity and began working on the next generation of trucks for 1948, what came to be known as F-Series bonus-built trucks. Ford additionally invested $1 million into research and tooling for the new cab, dubbed as the $1 million cab. Compared to the previous model of Ford trucks, the new cab was 7 inches wider and provided extra headroom. It also included wider doors that were moved 3 inches forward and extending beneath the cab's floor for better accessibility and interior protection from dust, moisture, and drafts. The first generation F-Series was marketed in 8 different chassis, giving them their model names. The F1 was the lightest capacity version, with the F8 was the highest. F1 through F3 pickup trucks were offered, and the bare F3 chassis served as the basis for a parcel delivery truck. The heavier-duty F4 chassis was produced as a light-duty commercial truck. The F5 and F6 were produced as medium-duty trucks. The F7 and F8 were heavy-duty commercial trucks marketed under the Big Job brand name from 1951. With the arrival of the second-generation F-Series for 1953, Ford increased engine power and capacity and rebranded the series. The F1 became the F100, while F2 and F3 trucks were integrated into the new F250 line. F4 became F350. Throughout this period, Ford trucks started looking less utilitarian, sporting two-tone paint, automatic transmissions, and improved heater and radio offerings. New standard features debuted with the 1953 F100, including arm armrests, dome lights, and sun visors. Lower and with a wider cab, the new truck featured integrated front fenders and a more aerodynamic design. Then, in 1957, Ford tested out a car-based truck, the Falcon Ranchero, the third generation of the Ford F-Series, marketed as more than a car, more than a truck. This light-duty truck brought car-like amenities to consumers. Following its competitors at Dodge and General Motors, Ford widened the front bodywork to integrate the cab and front fenders together. Going a step further, the F-Series integrated the hood into the bodywork with a clamshell design. The feature would stay part of the F-Series for 2 decades. Although offered previously, the optional chrome grille was far more prominent than before. In the rear, 2 types of pickup boxes were offered, starting a new naming convention. The traditional separate fender box was dubbed flare side, while style side boxes integrated the pickup bed, cab, and front fenders together. Underneath the skin, the 3rd Gen F-Series gained 4-wheel drive in 1958, even though third-party conversions had been around for a few years as niche items. Ford was the first of the big 3 US manufacturers to manufacture 4-wheel drive trucks on its own. In 1961, 44 years after the Model T, Ford introduced its 4th generation F-Series. The 4th Gen F-Series continued with the square design theme, and the truck once again grew in width and in the number of creature comforts. This generation also introduced the unibody look, eliminating the gap between the cabin and the bed, which made assembly easier and cheaper for Ford. However, the automaker dropped this look in 1964, with the 2-piece design returning. That same year, a new frame debuted, one that would be used through the end of the 1970s. Alongside the debut of the 4-door crew cab configuration, the long-running twin I-beam independent front suspension and 300 cubic inch inline 6 were both introduced. Taken from the defunct Edsel brand, the Ford Ranger nameplate made its first appearance. The 5th Gen F-Series debuted in 1967 with a wider, familiar shape that would remain a hallmark of F-Series for quite some time. The grille gained a more unified appearance, while the 302 Windsor V8 joined the menu in 1969. The 4-door crew cab became a more popular option during this time as well, but underneath the skin, the platform was pretty much a carryover from the 4th Gen model. These generations simply moved too fast to require new platforms every 5 or 6 years. An upscale Ranger package appeared in 1967. Ads emphasized improved comfort, value, and durability, as Ford trucks now offered power steering and brakes and a lower chassis profile. The 6th Gen Ford F-Series largely tweaked the dimensions of the outgoing F-Series, introducing a new 2-tiered grille shape and a stripe that ran from the front side markers all the way to the back. But the engineering underneath was largely a carryover. In 1975, Ford dropped the popular F-100, replacing it with a higher capacity F-150 pickup to combat the CK trucks from General Motors. By 1977, F-Series pulled ahead in the sales race, and 26 million trucks later, Ford hasn't looked back. That same year, a copywriter for a Ford truck magazine is said to have written 3 simple words that would come to define the brand built Ford tough. It is more than a slogan, it's the F-Series brand promise to its owners and the mantra for Ford's entire truck team. Trucks were fast becoming universal family vehicles, in addition to being work trucks. Instead of renting a truck for a big job or for towing, people now had ones they could use for work during the week, then hitch a trailer to and haul the family in for weekend getaways. Ford trucks were adapting to the changing, more active American lifestyle. During the development of the 7th generation F-Series, the 1979 oil crisis led to increased attention towards fuel economy. In addition, light trucks saw the introduction of federal fuel economy standards. Along with increasing capability and fuel economy, a central part of the development was to improve corrosion protection. While the previous generation phased in plastic fender liners in 1977, Ford further researched corrosion reduction, designing the cab and bed to reduce the amount of trapped road grime. The 7th generation received a completely new chassis and body, distinguished by flatter body panels and a squarer grille, earning the nickname Bullnose from enthusiasts. This generation marked several firsts for the model line, including the introduction of the Ford Blue oval grille emblem, the introduction of a diesel engine to the model line, and a dashboard with a full set of instruments. Ford billed its 7th generation F-Series as the first new truck of the 1980s and designed designed it with a focus on aerodynamics and plush interior trappings. While Ford was selling 173,050 F-150s in 1980, the base F-100 still managed to find 133,590 buyers. Of those, 73% stick with Ford's trusted 300 cubic inch inline-six engine. The F-150 superseded the F-100 as the base F-Series at the end of the 1983 model year, serving as the basis for the 8th and 9th generation F-Series. The 1980 F-Series architecture lasted through the 1998 model year. Marking the 50th anniversary of the F-150, the 1987 model sports a mild refresh that incorporated a new flat grille, flush headlamps, and rounded wheel arches. Basically a Euro-themed redesign of the 7th gen, the F-150 adopted rounder edges and softer body lines starting in 1987. Power steering, power brakes, and rear anti-lock braking became standard equipment. The base 300 cubic inch 6-cylinder received fuel injection, raising its output to 145 horsepower and a hearty 265 pound-feet of torque, just 5 pound-feet shy of the 5.0-liter V8. Ford looked to add a little zip to the F-Series lineup and released the Night Edition for the 1991 model year. Available strictly with regular cab, all 1991 F-150 Night Edition started life as 4-wheel drive XLT Lariats, but wear black paint and blacked out trim. The 5.0-liter V8 is standard, while Ford's 351 Windsor was optionally available. The 8th generation model had a particularly short model year run, being a restyling of the previous model. The 9th generation model was yet another deep restyling of the 1980s model, and it gave the F-Series a sleeker, more modern look along with some new tech, while still relying on the carryover chassis and cab. A softer, more aerodynamic appearing fascia and hood highlight the F-Series 1992 redesign. Ford trailed its rival General Motors in combined truck sales for much of the 9th generation, though sales steadily rose each year. About 500,000 F-Series trucks were sold in 1992, but this rose to nearly 800,000 by 1996, allowing Ford to overtake combined sales of Chevrolet and GMC trucks for the first time. The Night Edition returns for one more year, and in 1995 the F-Series surpasses the Volkswagen Beetle as the world's best-selling vehicle, although the Beetle retains the title for passenger cars. Ford swing for the fences with the 1993 F-150 SVT Lightnings. The sport truck was available only in a single cab short box configuration in either black or red. It relied on a beefed up version of the corporate 5.8-liter V8 engine, producing 240 horsepower and 340 pound-feet of torque. The first truly new F-Series since 1980, the 10th generation F-Series is also the first of the more or less modern F-Series trucks. It also stands as a totem to the moment Ford decides to actively market the F-150 to more casual users, leaving the F-250 and F-350 Super Duty models for commercial users and heavy haulers. Sleeker and more aerodynamic, the new F-150 utilizes a new, lighter chassis that ditches Ford's vaunted twin I-beam front suspension, features that stood with the F-Series for over 30 years in favor of a torsion bar setup. This new F-Series represented a significant departure when it came to styling, featuring sleek and soft shapes, along with a new chassis design underneath. This was the first F-Series that sought to blur the line between the truck and the SUV, offering plenty of creature comforts already available in the Expedition and Navigator, while Lincoln also experimented with a luxurious F-150 of its own in the form of the Blackwood. The driving experience was also noticeably more car-like. Ford experienced tremendous growth in sales during this time. Although the SVT Lightning returned for the 1999 model year, it really made its bones in 2001. Offering 380 horsepower and 450 pound-feet of twist, it was the most powerful production passenger vehicle sold in the United States. The trends of greater interior comfort and a more forgiving ride and handling continued with the introduction of the 11th generation F-Series in 2004. This time around, the F-150 was noticeably larger and taller on the outside, sitting on an all-new platform. All versions of the cab now had 4 doors. Regular cab versions of the truck featured short rear doors for the small cargo compartment inside. The design of the F-150 became a little more chiseled, and its SUV-like interior comforts helped the F-150 become an easier purchase for those who used its cargo capacity only occasionally. Featuring larger, regular, and extended cab options with more storage and passenger space, the new truck reflected the growing number of buyers who used pickups as a primary vehicle. Consumers responded in kind, driving annual F-Series pickup sales, including Super Duty versions, to an all-time high of 939,511 units. For the 2009 F-150, Ford cribs liberally from its Super Duty brethren. The Super Duty, new the year before, proved popular, so Ford gave the F-150 a little familial resemblance to improve its showroom appeal. With a more prominent grille, aggressive headlamps, and squared-off styling, the 12th generation F-150 moves further afield from its rounded, aerodynamically styled predecessors. The truck also got the benefit of a new, fully boxed frame for improved torsional rigidity. Engines were updated across the board. In 2011, Ford debuted a twin turbocharged 3.5-liter V6 for the truck. The Platinum trim level also made its entrance, reaching for luxury truck customers with an exclusive grille, 20-inch chrome wheels, premium leather upholstery, and heated and ventilated seats. This generation also saw the debut of the off-road focused Raptor variant. Unlike previous SVT projects, the Raptor's primary magic lied not under the hood, but in its rugged, off-road ready long travel suspension. Consisting of beefy cast aluminum lower control arms up front and Fox Shocks racing dampers at all four corners, the suspension boasts 11.2 inches of travel in front and 12.1 inches the rear, stock right off the showroom floor. Early versions ship with a 320 horsepower version of Ford's 5.4-liter V8. A much more appropriate 411 horsepower 6.2-liter V8 powers later Raptors. The F-150 that debuted in 2015 saw some of the biggest changes to the popular model in years, including aluminum panels over a steel frame that saved the truck some 750 pounds of weight. The design, meanwhile, saw heavy-duty influence once again with a tall and blunt hood, a tall cabin, and a locomotive-like front fascia. Plenty of new tech arrived with the 13th generation model, helping turn the F-150 into more of a family-friendly vehicle. The 13th generation F-150 is the first pickup to earn a 5-star NHTSA safety rating. And yes, the F-Series, including the Super Duty, remains the top-selling vehicle in the US, beer can body jokes aside. The Raptor returned as well, using its twin turbocharged EcoBoost V6 with 510 horsepower on tap to dominate off-road performance. To improve its off-road ability over a standard F-150, the Raptor was fitted with a torque-on-demand transfer case, 13 inches travel front and 13.9 inches travel rear Fox racing suspension, and all-terrain 35 inches tires and wheels. More than just an off-road animal, it proved to be a fully functioning daily driver and superbly reliable during its 40,000 miles as a long-term tester. The latest F-150 is an evolution for the truck rather than a revolution, once again relying on extensive use of aluminum to save weight while offering more tech inside, including the option of a widescreen infotainment system and a fully digital instrument cluster. The story for the current generation F-150 is still being written, though it will go down as being the first to offer electric power. It's certainly come a long way since 1917, save for the cargo bed in the back and a blue oval badge on the front. If you liked this video, subscribe to the channel and comment on which car you would like to know more about.